All right, folks, today's video is going to be a short maintenance video on this 2.2 liter Ecotec sitting in this 2004 Cavalier. What we're going to be doing is swapping out the Serpentine belt because it's developed several cracks in it. So on this model here, you can't really service this from above. We're going to have to service it from below, but if we peek down here past this coolant pipe, we can actually see where the belt is routed on top of the alternator. If we zoom in down here, and then we can see it going over the belt tensioner down there. So that's just that black belt that you see. And now we're going to go proceed to the other side so that we can remove it. All right, guys, so you can put this up on ramps like you're going to change the oil, or you can jack it up, whatever you prefer. We're going to need to remove a piece of inside wheel well trim. We're going to remove these three, let's see, what size were that again? 3 7mm. These 3 7mm bolts right here on the front. And then if we shine the light in there, we can see there's 3 more in the back. If we zoom in, right, 1, 2, 3 down near the bottom. And then we're going to go underneath and remove a couple more, and then we'll be able to move this out of the way and pull this belt. All right, guys, once you get those 6 7mm in the wheel well, come right underneath on the underside, and you're going to have a push pin here that you pop out. Pop that out with a tool like this or anything you have handy. You got to have another 7mm here and another 7mm here. And then if we zoom in a little bit, we're going to have one more of these push pins we need to pull out all the way in the back. So just remove those guys, and then we'll have access to the belt. All right, guys, once you get those 2 bolts and those 2 pins out, all you need to do, if we turn over this side here, we just need to pop this guy out from underneath that piece of metal on the front bumper area, and we'll just scoot him back. Don't have to actually remove him, because now we've got plenty of room to access this belt. Now I'll get you another angle, and we'll show how we mount a 3/8 inch breaker bar on the belt tensioner, so we can take the tension off the belt and pop the belt. All right, guys, so we've got our 3/8 breaker bar stuck into the slot that's right on the belt tensioner that's designed to hold that. And we're going to move it towards the front of the vehicle. And when we move it to the front of the vehicle, we'll have an opportunity to get the belt off of the air conditioning compressor, since we're doing it from underneath here. Okay, so with that off, we can just kind of loosen it up on top, take it off of the alternator, and work it down off of the crankcase pulley. All right, so let's go take a look at the one we're going to replace it with. All right, guys, so if we take a look at the old belt, we can see why we're replacing it. When doing an oil change, we notice that we're starting to get these cracks in the ribs, right? And it's just a matter of time before those cracks go all the way through and the belt gives out. All right, so if we zoom back out, we'll see what we're replacing this with is an ACDelco 126-34-320. There's 2 kinds of belts on these engines. There's one for vehicles that have an air conditioning compressor, like the one we're working on, and there's ones for ones that do not. I'll put links to these parts in the description. Let's go ahead and get our... All right, guys, with us having it up on ramps like this, I like to just come in through the top first and get it on the alternator pulley. I like just putting the part number where you can read it in this direction. It's just an easy way to tell if you've got any problems in the future. Just a style thing, really doesn't matter. So just working it down so that it comes out at the bottom. Then I'm going to block your view for a second, reach my hand down here, and get it on top of the alternator pulley like so. And then we'll go back down below and we'll pull it down the rest of the way, get it on the air conditioning compressor, and get it onto the crank pulley itself. All right, guys, we've got it onto the air conditioning pulley. We've got it onto the crankshaft pulley back here as well. The routing on this is pretty simple. Over the alternator, down and around the air conditioning pulley, under and up above the crankshaft pulley, and under the belt tensioner. I'll give you another view of that in a minute. And then back up, of course, to the alternator. There's not a whole lot of room down here, but then the way we're doing this here, you don't have to take a whole lot apart. Let me see if I can move this flashlight a little bit. Give us a better view on this side here. You can see there's our tensioner right up there. And then, of course, the place where you put the breaker bar in is right there. So I'll get this guy positioned in there and try to give you another close-up view of that. Right up there. Let's see if I can give you a close-up view of that. So right there. Not sure why it's not wanting to focus when I come up here, guys, but right there is where the breaker bar goes in there. So pretty simple job. Now we just put our fasteners back in, and we'll go ahead and give it a start, make sure everything's seated. All right, guys, one final check from up on top side. We just want to verify that our belt is properly seated also in the alternator pulley, and that we're seated on the tensioner. So you see just maybe just a hair off on the tensioner. What we'll do is we'll start the engine, make sure she self-settles, but she should line right in because all the ribs are in the pulley. All right, guys, with the engine running, we can use that GM part number that's silk screened on the belt to tell us that everything is running nice and straight. And that can give us a good visual indication that everything is correctly aligned. So I hope this helps you out. This is a pretty simple change to do. You don't have to take off a lot by doing it with this technique I showed you here. You just need to loosen up that trim piece in the wheel well and underneath, and you can get this job done in about 15 or 20 minutes. It doesn't take many tools, just a 7mm ratchet wrench, a 3/8" breaker bar so you can move the tensioner, and some tool to remove the 2 Christmas tree push pins that were holding it on underneath. If you got questions or comments on how to do this repair, go ahead and leave them below and I'll try to help you out. If you found this video useful and it saved you some money, I'd appreciate a like on that video. And as always, thanks for watching.